Bowel cancer is where the cells in our bowel and our rectum basically start to grow uncontrollably. So normally in our body, all our cells grow in a very controlled fashion, and there's lots of systems in our body to make sure this happens and stays correct. So when cells grow out of control, and this is often due to mutations in different genes, this is when cancers form. So often in the bowel, they form first as a small lump or a polyp, and these are often benign, so they don't grow very fast and they don't grow so much out of control. And these can be really treatable. So if found early, these can be removed by surgery, and really the bowel cancer is then cured. So when problems develop is when these aren't detected, and they grow into what we call malignant polyps, and these grow and spread throughout the body, which are much more harder to treat and which cause much more kind of severe cancer. There are many kind of normal symptoms that are often associated with the start of bowel cancer development, and we often think of these under the abbreviation BCA. So if we think B for bleeding from your bottom when you go to the loo, C is a change in bowel habits that you notice for over a course of about 3 weeks. And A is abdominal pain or lump, or is often associated with acute tiredness or unexplained weight loss. And you can find much more about these symptoms and about bowel cancer in general from a great resource, which is the Bowel Cancer Research website, which you can find at bowelcancerresearch.org, and which will tell you in detail if you have any concerns that you can look at and read about, and then will direct you to your GP. If you're concerned about any of these symptoms, you should go and see your GP. So even many of these symptoms will be nothing. So it will be just the normal kind of different pains and aches. But what's really important is that if you go early, so if you think of any concerns, just go and have a chat with your GP, and they will be able to see whether it is of any concern. And if they are concerned, they can refer you to a consultant to look a bit more deeper. We're looking at a gene that is faulty in about 80% of bowel cancer, and it's called APC. And the reason why we're looking at this is because it seems to be the major driver, so the major gene that's lost in a huge proportion of bowel cancers. And what we're trying to do is identify new drugs and new drug targets that can specifically treat people who have lost this gene, so where this gene is faulty. So these drugs should only kill our tumour cells and not harm our normal cells. And the idea behind this is that if this is the case, we'll significantly reduce the normal side effects we see associated with normal chemotherapies. So if we can target only our tumour cells, therefore we have what we call a personalised medicine. So we've developed a drug that only targets those specific cancers of that patient. What we're trying to do in cancer research at the moment is try and develop more kind of bespoke medicine, because we know much more in the last 10-20 years about the genetics of cancer. And the more we know, the more we can develop new, better treatments. So normally cancer was treated as kind of bowel cancer, all were treated as the same. So if we know more about the specific mutations and changes that happen in different types of bowel cancer, because what we know is they're not all the same. So if we can treat them based on what those changes are, we can have much better, more specific treatments that work much better. Funding is vital to drive cancer research forward, and we were really lucky to be able to get funding from the Bowel and Cancer Research to fund a 3-year PhD studentship to be able to drive this project forward. So this type of research is discovery research, and without this type of funding, we wouldn't be able to find out these new drugs that we don't know what we're going to find. And it's really vital this type of discovery research is funded. And without this type of charity and without public support, we wouldn't be able to develop these new, better drugs for the treatment of bowel cancer.
For Bowel Cancer Awareness Month, at Bowel and Cancer Research, we have a campaign which really aims to encourage people to speak out and go to their GP for testing if you notice any symptoms of bowel cancer or if you have any concerns. During the month, we have a mascot, a teddy bear called Bottom, who is travelling around the UK, visiting some of our supporters and our scientists. And really his message is simple. Don't grin and bear it. Really, if we can speak out when something feels wrong, then more lives will be saved. In fact, 9 out of 10 people will survive bowel cancer if it's caught in its earliest stage. It really is much more treatable at that stage. We find as a charity that bowel cancer is kind of the Cinderella of cancers. People tend to ignore it. They don't want to talk about their toilet habits. We see that as unglamorous. But ultimately, if anyone had a lump on their skin, I don't think they would ignore it. But yet with our bowels and our bottoms, we're quite happy to just say, oh, well, it's just a few stomach aches or it's some diarrhea, probably because of something I ate. And in most cases, it probably is just that. But it's always good to get checked by your GP just in case. Don't grin and bear it. That's the taboo, really, that we need to tackle this month with our campaign. Bowel cancer is the second biggest cancer killer, so we don't really have time for these taboos. We need people to act and say if something feels wrong. To find out more about Bowel Cancer Awareness Month, about the BCA symptoms, about stacks and facts on bowel cancer, and to download information or donate to some of our life-saving researchers, people can go to bowelcancerresearch.org. And of course, if they need any medical information because they're concerned about any symptoms, don't hesitate to go to your GP.